To unit 10.2. Today we are adding and subtracting. I hope that we're enjoying these radicals. Okay, so the basic rule when you're adding and subtracting radicals, it's like combining like terms. Okay, and when we combine variables, we just combine the coefficients on our x's on our variables. Okay, and we leave the variable alone. So we're going to think of the radical as the variable portion to our expressions. And so if the number underneath is the same, that makes them like terms. And then we go ahead and just add or subtract the coefficients. Okay, so if we look, these really easy basic examples to start off, I have the same number underneath the radical. So that's like having negative 2x plus 7x. Okay, so that makes these the same. It makes them like terms. So now all I'm going to do is negative 2 plus 7, okay, which gets me a coefficient of 5. And then we're going to keep our radical the same. And that's it. That's our final answer. Okay, so again, example number 2. Underneath our radical here happens to be the same. So we're just going to do 3 minus 9, which is negative 6, and then our radical stays the same. Okay, it's a coincidence in each of these examples that the coefficient is the same number as what's underneath the radical. I probably should have picked some better numbers. All right, so we get a little bit fancy here. 3x underneath each one of those radicals. Okay, so just combining the coefficients, 5 plus 13 minus 12. Okay, it's 6. And the radical stays the same. Okay, in example 4, we see that we have two different pairs of like terms here. Okay, so just like when we solved equations and we identified our like terms, okay, I have two different sets here. I'm going to combine the coefficients. So negative 10x minus 18x is negative 28x, and 7 plus 12. Oh, whoops, I forgot my radical over here. Root 2 stays the same. Okay, and then it's 19 square root of 5. Okay, so the idea and the process here is really very simple. Okay, the only issue becomes, well, what happens if my radicals aren't automatically the same from the start? Okay, so sometimes you have to first simplify, like we were doing in the last lesson. We have to break it down before we can possibly add or subtract, because we can't necessarily tell here from 18 and 32. Okay, so 18, this would be 9 and 2 with the x. Okay, so when a square root comes out and there's a coefficient there, we're going to multiply them together. So meaning there's already a negative 7 and the 3 is going to come out from the square root of 9. That makes a negative 21 in the front. Okay, and 2x stays inside. Okay, when I break down 32, it's going to be 16 and 2 with the x. So there's already a negative 11 on the outside, and 4 comes out from the square root of 16, so they multiply and make a negative 44. Okay, and the square root of 2 stays. So now that I've simplified, look, I have the same radical, which means like terms, so I can do negative 21 minus 44. Negative 65, radical stays the same. Okay, so we were fortunate that this simplified down to just one term. Now, every problem does not have to simplify down to one term. You're just seeing, well, can I, combine any of them? All right, so we have to simplify now before we start everything. Okay, so first term here becomes 9 root 5. So there's already a 3 on the outside, and then we square root that 9, which comes out as 3 times 3. So that's why that one looks a little strange. Okay, 80, I'm going to use 16 and 5. So that becomes negative 20 root 5 on the outside. Negative 5 times the 4 that comes out. Okay, and then this is 4 and 10. So this guy comes out as a 2, multiplies to make 8. All right, so not everything will combine, but I at least have 2 terms that are alike. So 9 minus 20 is negative 11 root 5 plus 8 root 10. Okay, and that is my final answer. That is the most that can be done. Okay, we'll do one more here. So 12 is going to be square root of 3, square root of 4. Okay, 6 does not simplify because the only 2 numbers I get are 2 and 3. Neither one of those are a perfect square, so I'll just bring that down. And then 108, to think for a second, I'm going to use 36 and 3. So 6 root 3. Okay, identify. I do have a set of like terms. 2 plus 6 is 8 root 3 minus 2 root 6. We carry that over. There's nothing to be done with that. Okay, and that is our final answer. Okay, so adding and subtracting radicals is not difficult, but we have to be able to simplify in order to do it. Okay, and the main idea here is that the square roots have to be the same. And when we go to add and subtract them, we do not change the radical. Okay, that's our main idea here for today. All right, please make sure your notes are complete. If you have any questions, jot those down, and I will see you guys next class.